Somewhere in central Honduras, in a small town surrounded by mountains and farmland, a storm rolls in every spring. The sky turns black. The rain pounds the ground for hours. And when it stops, the streets are covered in small silver fish, alive, flopping on the pavement. Hundreds of them, scattered across roads and fields as if someone had dumped them from above. The people of Yoro walk outside with buckets and baskets and start collecting. They have been doing this for over 150 years. They call it the Lluvia de Peces, the rain of fish. It sounds like a myth. It sounds like one of those stories a traveler hears in a village and politely nods along. But the Lluvia de Peces is not a legend. It has been witnessed, documented, and investigated by scientists. A team from National Geographic traveled to Yoro in the 1970s and saw the aftermath for themselves. The fish were real. They were on the ground, and they could not explain where they had come from. No one has been able to fully explain it since. This is the story of the most consistent and repeatable animal rain ever recorded on Earth, and why, after more than a century, it still does not have a definitive answer. To understand why the fish rain of Yoro is so difficult to explain, you first need to understand where Yoro is and what surrounds it. The town sits in the department of Yoro in north-central Honduras. It is landlocked. The nearest ocean is the Atlantic, roughly 45 miles to the north. There are rivers in the region, but the fish that appear on the streets after the storms are not from those rivers. They are a species that does not match anything found in local waterways. The town has a population of about 93,000 people, and most of the surrounding area is agricultural. There is no lake nearby. There is no large body of open water anywhere close enough to explain why hundreds of fish would suddenly appear on the ground after a heavy rain. The phenomenon typically occurs between May and July, during the start of the rainy season. It happens at least once a year, sometimes twice, and occasionally more. The pattern is always the same. A massive thunderstorm rolls in, usually in the late afternoon or evening. The rain is heavy, sometimes lasting 2 or 3 hours. When it stops, the fish are there, scattered across the streets, flopping in puddles, lying in the mud of open fields. The residents collect them, cook them, and share them with their neighbors. It has been part of the rhythm of life in Yoro for as long as anyone can remember. The oldest accounts of the Lluvia de Peces trace back to the 1850s and 60s, and they are tied to a man named Father José Manuel Subirana. Subirana was a Spanish Catholic missionary who arrived in Honduras in 1855 and spent the rest of his life working among the poorest communities in the country until his death in 1864. According to local legend, Father Subirana visited Yoro and was deeply moved by the poverty and hunger he witnessed. He prayed for 3 days and 3 nights, asking God to provide food for the people. When his prayers ended, a dark cloud formed in the sky, and fish began to fall with the rain. Whether or not you believe in miracles, the legend of Father Subirana is deeply embedded in the identity of Yoro. When locals describe themselves to outsiders, many say they are from the place where the fish rain happens. It is not a footnote in their culture. It is the defining feature of their town. The scientific community has offered 3 main hypotheses to explain the phenomenon, and none of them is fully satisfying. The first and most commonly cited is the waterspout theory. Waterspouts are rotating columns of air that form over bodies of water, similar to tornadoes. They are capable of lifting small aquatic animals out of the water and carrying them through the air before dropping them on land. This explanation works well for isolated one-time events of animal rain, and there are documented cases of it happening around the world. In 1947, fish between 2 and 9 inches long fell from a clear sky over Marksville, Louisiana, and the event was attributed to a waterspout. In 2010, small perch rained down on the remote town of Lajamanu in northern Australia. In 2005, thousands of frogs fell on the town of Odzaci in Serbia. In each of those cases, the event was unusual, unpredictable, and happened once. But in Yoro, it happens every single year, in the same town, during the same season, with the same species of fish. The odds of a waterspout forming over a body of water, scooping up fish and carrying them 45 miles inland to the exact same town year after year for more than 150 years are not just unlikely, they are functionally impossible. And there is another problem. The fish that appear in Yoro are freshwater fish, not saltwater. If a waterspout were pulling them from the Atlantic, they would be ocean fish. They are not. The second theory is flooding. During intense rainstorms, rivers and streams overflow, and fish can be carried far from their usual habitat by floodwaters. When the water recedes, the fish are left stranded on the ground, giving the appearance of having fallen from the sky. This is a reasonable explanation for many reports of animal rain around the world and is probably what accounts for a significant number of historical cases. But in Yoro, the fish are not from local rivers. They are not a species found in any known surface water in the region. If they were simply being washed in from a nearby stream, they would be local species. They are not. The third theory is the one that gained the most traction among scientists who have actually visited Yoro, and it came from the National Geographic team in the 1970s. When the researchers examined the fish that had appeared on the streets after a storm, they made two observations that changed the conversation entirely. First, the fish were freshwater, not saltwater. Second, and more importantly, the fish were completely blind. They had no functional eyes, or their eyes were severely reduced, adapted for a life lived in total darkness. That is not what you would expect from a fish that spent its life in an open river or lake. That is what you would expect from a fish that had spent generations living underground. The hypothesis the National Geographic team proposed was that beneath Yoro, there exists a network of subterranean rivers or cave systems, and these blind fish live in those underground waterways. When the heavy rains come and saturate the ground, floodwater forces its way up through natural fissures and openings in the earth, carrying the fish with it to the surface. When the water recedes, the fish are left stranded on the streets and fields above. No waterspout required. No fish falling from the clouds. Just water pushing blind creatures up from below. This theory is elegant, and it accounts for several of the most puzzling aspects of the phenomenon. It explains why only one species of fish appears. It explains why they are blind. It explains why they are freshwater. And it explains why it happens in the same place every year, because the underground system is a fixed geological feature beneath the town. But this theory has its own unanswered questions. If the fish are being flushed up from underground, where is the exit point? No one has ever found a visible opening or fissure through which the fish could emerge. And if floodwater is pushing them to the surface, why do the fish appear scattered across such a wide area, including on paved streets and concrete surfaces, far from any visible ground opening? Why is there no mud or sediment trail leading from a specific point? The fish simply appear, as if distributed evenly by something from above. And there is one more detail that no theory has cleanly resolved. No one in Yoro has ever watched the fish fall. Despite over a century of reports, despite the National Geographic visit, despite the annual festival that has been held since 1998, no one has ever filmed or directly observed fish dropping from the sky. They are always found after the storm has passed, when people venture outside. The rain is too heavy, and the storm's too violent for anyone to be standing in the open watching. By the time the streets are safe to walk, the fish are already there. The phenomenon is not limited to Honduras. Animal rain has been reported across the world for thousands of years. The Roman naturalist Pliny the Elder wrote about it in 77 AD. In 1625, a rain of frogs was reported in Tournai, Belgium. In 1794, French soldiers reported toads falling from the sky near the city of Lille. In 1873, Scientific American published an account of frogs raining down on Kansas City, Missouri. In 1997, a Korean fisherman was reportedly knocked unconscious by a frozen squid that fell from the sky. In 2007, earthworms rained on Jennings, Louisiana. In Norway, live worms were found scattered across the surface of the snow in mountainous areas, far from any soil. The phenomenon crosses continents and centuries. But nowhere in the world does it happen with the regularity and consistency of Yoro. The people of Yoro are not waiting for science to settle the debate. Since 1998, the town has held an annual Festival de la Lluvia de Peces, timed to coincide with the first major rainfall of the season, usually in May or June. The festival includes parades, music, and the carrying of effigies of Father Subirana through the streets. Residents collect the fish, prepare them, and share meals with neighbors and visitors. For many in the community, the Lluvia de Peces is not a curiosity to be explained. It is a blessing to be celebrated. It is food that arrives when the rains come, just as it has for as long as anyone alive can remember. In 2023, a partnership between the advertising agency Ogilvy Honduras and the fish company Regal Springs created a brand called Heaven Fish, designed to help the people of Yoro turn the annual fish rain into a source of income. Most residents in the area live on less than $1 a day. The fish, which had always been a communal gift, became a product with a story that could be sold. Whether the fish fall from the sky or rise from the earth below, the people of Yoro have made them part of who they are. Science has not closed the case. The underground river theory remains the leading explanation, but it is still unproven. No one has mapped the subterranean system beneath Yoro. No one has found the exit point. No one has watched the fish emerge. And no one has fully explained why a species of blind freshwater fish appears on the streets of a landlocked town in Honduras after every major storm, in the same place, at the same time of year, for more than 150 years. Some mysteries are solved with better instruments. Some are solved with patience. And some, like the rain of fish in Yoro, sit in the space between what we can observe and what we cannot yet explain. The fish keep coming. The people keep collecting them. And the sky for now keeps its secrets.